All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Looks like a lot of you are really interested in The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Yeah, great choice.
So we'll be taking a deep dive into those today. I'm excited to see how this ancient Toltec wisdom can offer us some really practical advice for, well, just living a happier life. How to have healthier relationships, things like that.
You know what I find so fascinating about Ruiz is how he takes these, profound spiritual insights and he just boils them down to these very clear, simple principles. It's
Yeah,
like a roadmap for navigating uh, all the complexities of life, really.
yeah, exactly. And what we want to do in this deep dive is kind of extract the core of these four agreements, see if
Sure.
we can figure out how we can actually, weave these into our daily lives so we can have greater peace and less stress.
Right.
So why don't we just jump right into the first one? Be impeccable with your word.
Okay.
All right, so what does that even mean?
Well, at its heart, I think this agreement is all about the power of communication. Both, what you say to others and what you say to yourself.
Right.
It's about speaking with integrity, saying what you mean,
Mhm.
and very importantly, avoiding all that negative self-talk and gossip.
Oh, yeah, and it's so easy to get caught up in that.
It is. It is.
So how do words, how do they actually have the power to create or destroy, like Ruiz says?
Well, think about it. Have you ever noticed how, like, a kind word from someone can totally brighten your day? Or how, the opposite, a harsh word can just, like, completely ruin your mood?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's because words carry energy. They have an impact. And sometimes the harshest words we hear are actually the ones we direct at ourselves.
Oh, for sure. Like we are often our own worst critics, aren't we?
Exactly. And Ruiz really emphasizes how this internal dialogue, this, self-talk, and even the external gossip that we sometimes engage in, it really shapes how we perceive reality.
It's true. It's like we're constantly feeding ourselves these stories, these narrative that might not even be true.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. Neuroscience actually suggests that uh, when we engage in negative self-talk, it can trigger a similar stress response in our brains as when we encounter like a real external threat.
Wow. So it's like our brain doesn't know the difference between a mean comment from someone else and a mean comment from ourselves.
Exactly. So one of the key actions here with this first agreement is to really start paying attention to your self-talk.
Hmm.
Notice when you're tempted to gossip and see if you can consciously choose to reframe those negative messages, those stories that you're telling yourself.
I love that. Like catch yourself in the act and flip the script.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's move on to the second agreement. Don't take anything personally. Now, this one I think can be a really tough one to put into practice.
It can, but it's so liberating when you do.
Right. So tell me, what's the key takeaway here?
Well, it's about recognizing that what other people do or say, it really has very little to do with you and so much more to do with their own internal world.
So, like their own beliefs, their own experiences?
Exactly, exactly. It's like they're looking at the world through their own unique lens, shaped by all their past experiences.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So, if we're not supposed to take things personally, how do we even begin to do that? Like, what's the practical approach here?
So the next time you find yourself, getting upset or offended by someone's comment or action,
Yeah.
just pause for a moment, take a breath, and ask yourself, is this really about me? Is this about my worth as a person? Or is it more likely just a reflection of what they're going through? Their own struggles, their own insecurities.
Right. Like maybe they're having a bad day
Exactly.
or they're projecting their own stuff onto you.
Exactly. And have you ever had those moments where, you reacted strongly to something and then later realized, oh, wait a minute, this wasn't even about me?
Oh, all the time.
Right. So this agreement encourages us to, to just step back and see the bigger picture.
To kind of detach from the emotional drama of it all.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's don't take anything personally. Let's move on to the third agreement. Don't make assumptions.
Assumptions. The source of so many misunderstandings
I know, right?
and unnecessary drama.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So how do we break this habit of making assumptions?
Well, Ruiz suggests that, clear communication is really the key here.
Hmm.
Instead of just assuming, what someone else is thinking or feeling,
Yeah.
the action step is to ask questions.
Just ask.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah, express what you need and seek clarification. Just simple things like, hey, when you said that, what did you mean?
Right, because so much conflict could be avoided if we just, took the time to actually understand each other's perspectives.
Exactly. And it's amazing how often we fill in the blanks with our own narratives.
Right. And those narratives are often totally inaccurate. Yeah. Okay, so we've covered be impeccable with your word,
Yeah.
don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions. That brings us to the fourth and final agreement.
All right, let's hear it.
Always do your best.
Ah, yes. One of my favorites.
So what does it actually mean to do your best? Because, our best can vary from day to day, right?
Exactly, exactly. And that's what's so important to understand about this agreement. Your best isn't some fixed, unchanging standard.
Right.
It fluctuates. It depends on your energy levels, your health, your emotional state, all sorts of things. So the key here is to avoid that harsh self-judgment.
So it's not about being perfect. It's just about showing up authentically and giving it your all, whatever that looks like in that moment.
Exactly. It's about effort, not outcome.
I like that. Effort, not outcome. And that takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
It really does. And the action step here is so simple, but it's profound.
Yeah.
At the end of each day, just ask yourself, did I do my best today? And if the answer is yes, then let go of any need for self-criticism. It's about self-compassion.
Yeah. That's so important. So we've got these four agreements: being mindful of our words, not taking things personally, choosing clarity over assumptions, and just doing our best. And when we bring all of these together, it creates a really powerful framework for, I think, for living a more peaceful and joyful life.
It does, because ultimately these agreements are about freedom.
Freedom from what?
Freedom from self-imposed suffering, freedom from those negative thought patterns that keep us stuck.
Right. It's like we're giving ourselves permission to just be human.
Exactly. And when we embrace these agreements, it doesn't mean that life suddenly becomes perfect or easy,
Right.
but it does mean that we have the tools to navigate those challenges with more grace and
Yeah.
ease.
So it's not about avoiding the difficult stuff. It's about how we choose to respond to it.
Exactly. And that's where the real power lies.
All right. Well, that was a really insightful deep dive into the four agreements. And I think there's a lot for all of us to reflect on here.
Absolutely. I think these principles can really make a difference in our lives.
Yeah. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final thought. Looking at these four agreements, which one speaks to you the most right now? And what's one small step, even a tiny step, that you can take today to bring that agreement more fully into your life? Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.